yes it is I, the conspicuous moon. And I thought I'd just catch up with you fellow brewmasters and other monks, because, you know, we're about to enter week 3 and there's quite a lot going on. So without further ado, I think we'd best get cracking. First of all, I imagine that most of you have been doing dungeons this week. I know I have. I've sort of been running the old heroics, and I've been doing a bit of tanking and a bit of DPSing as well. I have to say that my favourite dungeon so far is The Other Side. I love the Mozala fight. I fall off a lot of things. I've been Chi Torpedoing off a few things and been knocked over by mobs, but you know, I'm learning like everybody else is at the moment. The worst dungeon, definitely Plaguefall. What a shocker. I've had experiences with a few healers who have lost their will to heal as a result of going through Plaguefall. Threat-wise, I haven't really had many issues, and if we get the Charred Passions legendary this week, then I think there'll be even fewer issues after that. At the moment on the pool, I'll be using both Purifying Brews, and then I'll put out the Celestial Brew, so I've got a shield just to start me off and not knock the healer sideways with how much damage I'm taking. But then after that, I usually just keep one Purifying Brew spare, and that way I can keep up the Celestial Brew stacks at a pretty level rate, and if something really bad happens or I get hit really hard really quickly, I can quickly purify that damage off. So, you know, that's just a thing that I'm doing at the moment that you might find useful. One of the things that I've been learning recently is that I should be setting my loot spec mainly to Windwalker instead of Brewmaster. And the reason for this is that, as I've said before, once Brewmaster gets pretty comfortable with the damage that they're taking, they usually go offensive and switch through to DPS trinkets, and if you spec for Brewmaster, you won't be able to access all of the DPS trinkets because it won't be on your personal loot. And one trinket in particular is definitely not flagged for Brewmaster at all, but happens to be the highest DPS. So the only time I'm switching over to Brewmaster loot now is for the Hakar fight in The Other Side, because I still haven't got my blood spattered scale. Once I get that, I'll just be Windwalker all the way. So yes, that's my plan. I've still got to get that blood spattered scale because he's not been very good to me. And today I went and simmed all of the trinkets from the dungeons and a few that have randomly shown up in my bags as a result of, well, quests, missions, that sort of thing, and a surprise one as well that I've only just learned about. So we'll just go through. Now take this with an absolute grain of salt, because you know these are simming numbers for my character. So, when I was running the numbers, this is what I came up with. Now, the File of Putrefaction is another one that I haven't managed to snag, but it drops from Dr. Ickes in Plaguefall, so it looks like I'll be going there for a while. And that turned out to be the highest simming. Now, you know, simming is ideal conditions, not moving around or getting interfered with too much. This wasn't a patchwork sim, it was the Dungeon Beast Cleave one. So it just gives you an idea that, you know, you might be moving around more, there might be multiple enemies and stuff going out, so it tries to simulate the more dungeony environment. The Withergrove Shardling was a 177 I just got from, I think, a Calling, and it's just flat agility with a chance to do about 1300 damage as shadow damage every once in a while, depending on your attacks. The Decanter of Animacharged Winds is also looking like it's pretty useful as well. I think that's Spires of Ascension that one drops from. And then we go down to Grim Codex and the Bottle Flare Wind Toxin. As you can see, it's all pretty close for those top 5. Now, Hymnal of the Path is the one that I've only just learnt about. It drops from a World Quest in Bastion, so it will scale up to maybe eye level 200, but not higher than that. And it seems to be a bit of a dark horse at the moment. This sim might not actually be accurately reflecting what it does, but it seems to be in a little secret or something. And I'm sorry to break the secrets open, but you know, if we're all going to become better brewmasters, then we should get access to the best trinkets, even the World Quest ones. So keep an eye out for this and test it. I haven't got it, and I'd like to hear what you think about it. Now, it's Mythic Plus week, so it's our first week of going in and start to do some higher keys than the Mythic Noughts. Now, for this week only, the highest key is going to be rewarding you is a +10, which should offer you a maximum of eye level 203 gear at the end. That's equivalent to normal Nathria. Apart from I think the last 2 bosses in Castle Nathria drop eye level 207, so that's the equivalent if you're doing a +10. Apparently this has been put in place to prevent people from, you know, crushing out a whole ton of Mythic plus 10s, and then gearing to the point where they've already got the equivalent gear to the Nathria raid and then go in and do it. Once again, you know, I've always been an advocate for player agency, and if people really want to do that, then I don't see why you should be stopping them. But anyway, moving on. The affixes for the first week are not too bad. Fortified, so healthier and harder hitting mobs, will kick in at Mythic level 2 and upwards. Bursting, I'm not a fan of bursting. Mobs will do damage when they're killed, so you need to stagger the kills, because if you kill everything all at once, you just got one huge burst and you'll all die. And that's from Mythic 4 and upwards. Volcanic is the one which does 20% of your health as fire damage and knocks you up into the air, so it's going to interrupt anything you're casting as well. Not so much a problem for us, but if you're a Mistweaver, it was probably going to be the bane of your existence. Now that starts at Mythic 7 plus, and then the new Prideful affix. Now basically, you go through, you know, doing your 100% of trash killed in order to complete the dungeon. Every 20% this guy will show up. He has a few basic maneuvers, and after you kill him, then you get a whole set of buffs yourself. So yeah, so that's just if you're going to be doing a 10. After this Mythic week, we will be going back to standard issue, so the plus 10s will reward you, I think, our level 207 gear. And you'll be able to get increasing gear rewards up to level 15, but I don't think there's any rewards higher than that, mainly because of the repetitive nature of Mythic Plus. You can keep going in and in and in and farming and farming and farming, which is something you can't do with raids, so I think that's why they probably introduced that. So yeah, we'll be going back to standard issue Mythic Plus next week, but this week they've just put a few restrictions on us. Now, I did mention the raids, so I suppose it would be an idea to start talking about it as well. So we're going to Nathria, innit? Normal and heroic modes will open this week. LFI and Mythic are a little bit later. Normal, as I've mentioned, is eye level 200 gear dropping, and 207 for the last two bosses. The heroic equivalents are eye level 213, with 220 dropping in the last two bosses. Blizzard in the last couple of days have buffed a number of the boss abilities. Nothing too much to worry about. I think they raised the Enrage on the Sludge Fist fight from 20% to 30%, which seems to be the most notable one. Sludge Fist is a very Brewmaster friendly fight. You know, we're going to be able to take the kind of melee damage that a lot of other tanks are going to be struggling with, so I don't think there's too much to worry about there. The weapons have changed slightly. This time you just get a token as a weapon token, and then you go back to your Covenant and then you hand that token in. You've probably seen those vendors around your Covenant already, and probably had a good look as well at all the gear and gone, I know I did. So you'll take that back and then you'll trade it in, and then you'll get your weapon, whatever weapon you choose. Now for quick guides on how to do the Castle Nathrias, Hazelnutty I think has just finished her set. I found these really, really helpful for the dungeon guides, just learning how all the mechanics worked. And if I want anything more in-depth, if I ever get into heroic raiding, then I think I'll probably start with the Fat Boss guys, because they've just done me good service over the years. For my personal raid experience, there's no tank spot for me, so I will be windwalking, and so I spent the last couple of days just windwalking, and I am really enjoying it, I have to say. And the stat priority is very, very similar for windwalkers. I think at the moment it's first mastery, crit, and then haste that way. And the way I'm gearing my brewmaster is crit, versatility, mastery, and haste that way. So a lot of very interchangeable gear, and because I'm now starting to look at DPS trinkets, I'll probably use them on both as well. So I am actually quite enjoying myself as a windwalker, but whenever I'm not DPSing, I'm just going back to my old brewmaster again. And here's just a sample of some of the things I picked out. 4 of them trinkets. I'm obsessed with trinkets. But yeah, this is just a sample of things that I drop on normal Nathria. So the Hyperlight Band, this only really caught my attention because the amount of versatility on it, that is insane. So Artificer Zymox, if you would be so good as to offer me that, it would be most exceedingly obliged. It's very good for windwalkers too, incidentally. Hateful Chain, this is an interesting one. It drops off Sludge Fist. Basically you do damage if you're healthier than the mob, and you have a high chance to heal yourself if you are lower. health than the mob, and it scales with your versatility. So once again, versatility is a very, very useful stat in general, and this will only make it more so. This next one is a little bit controversial because Memory of Past Sins is kind of a DPS trinket, so you might lose a few friends if you decide to pick this up ahead of them. But it does have an interesting stacking ability. It would be good for long fights, and if you want to do a little bit more damage, then great. You're probably going to be picking this one up last though, because well, your DPS will just disown you, I think, if you take this off them too early. Stone Legion Heraldry does look really, really good, as long as you've got other people with the trinket. So there's going to be plenty of tactical usage of equipping Stone Legion Heraldry, so you can get a huge versatility buff for your key players, or the people who like versatility the most, and probably in magic damage, heavy damage fights as well. So that one's off General Carl, definitely one worth looking at. And of course the classic, and that everyone's very excited about, is Sanguine Vintage. Notice drops off the good side of Nathria at the end. Lots of delicious agility, and a hazard absorb shield for 6 seconds. It'll heal for 200% of the remaining health on the shield. So once again, scales of versatility, and our weapon tokens as well are being kindly donated by the Council of Blood and Sergeant Nathria himself, so good on you, mate. So very good luck to you all. Hope you have fun on the first week. I think we're going in on Sunday. We're going to do a whole bunch of Mythic Plus runs, get everybody up and excited, go in and get thrashed, but in a fun way. And just some last things just to finish up, just some other news as well. Now, for those of you who are interested in the Charred Passions Legendary, please pray that in a few hours the Cold Heart Interstitia in Torghast is going to be the one that opens, one of the wings that opens, because that is where Charred Passions is hiding at the moment. For me personally, with the legendaries, I did think about, I'll wait until rank 4 and when we'll do the balance and stuff, but at the end of the day, no, I want it now, so I'll be crafting it on feet, and that's probably going to be my first stop if it's available this week, and I will start charring some passions. So floors 4 to 6 will open this week. I don't know about you, but last week the Devourer, I think it was the Devourer boss, he was awful, and that was just a level 3, so I think he was mildly overtuned. A lot of people were complaining about him, but hopefully the bosses aren't quite as brutal as that in Torghast for my next runs. I did an article, and this is quite interesting, on the popularity of covenants. There's a website out there who's been measuring who chose what covenant for which classes and which particular spec. So I thought we'd just have a quick look and see how the brewmasters did. And brewmaster in general, a lot of you like Kyrian, which is fine. Weapons of Order, a very strong ability. I'm not really into the Smurf thing, but some of you clearly are, and it is a very strong ability, so good on you. Necrolord came in second, at the moment anyway. Once again, Bone Dust Brew, another great ability. It's not quite as obviously impactful as the other abilities, but a lot of people getting into Draco, and that's absolutely fine. I am back with a Night Fae, and I got my Moose Soul, so I'm now running around as a moose, which is awesome. So yes, I'm in that 23.47%, doing my little stomps everywhere. Happily, it also happens to be the best sort of compromised covenant for Windwalkers as well, so I didn't have to do any major changes there. So Nia and Dreamweaver are looking after me very nicely indeed. And Venthyr right at the bottom, really not a lot of people picking it. So that's not entirely surprising, as it wasn't really a tank ability to start with, and it has generally been talked down in the last few weeks before launch, just because it was slightly behind all of the other covenants in terms of just their utility and damage and everything. It was a bit rubbish. The Windwalkers, rather similar. The Kyrians, once again, half of the Windwalkers are Kyrians. I think it is one of the more favoured abilities for Windwalkers. It's very bursty for them. So yeah, over half have gone Kyrian, which is very nice. Night Fae comes second. I think probably we got bumped up a little just because of the compromising thing. And it still does very decent damage. It does additional damage as a Windwalker, as opposed to the Brewmaster version. And I found it actually pretty punchy. It's quite high up on my rotation. Then the Necrolords, 13%, and the Venthir at the bottom again. Bless. And finally the Mistweavers. Now, I've had a go at Mistweaving. I'm not a good healer. You don't want me healing you. And once again, Kyrians. So it looks like it's a very Kyrian class across the board here. Then the Night Fae significantly behind Necrolord and then the Venthir, but Venthir a little bit more popular. I can see where they're going with that because it can be quite painful running around the world as Mistweaver. Don't do a tremendous amount of damage. It would be nice to have the Pandora pop out every once in a while. And finally the Maw is really starting to suck. I mean, I knew this was going to happen because it's just like Broken Shore, but slightly darker and less green. But I didn't realise it was going to happen this quickly. It's now, one of those chores you get out of the way first thing in the morning. It's like, I'll vacuum and I'll do my exercises and go to the gym. I'll do the shopping and I'll go to the mall. And then I'll start enjoying myself. That's kind of how the mall is for me right now. But I only have one character, so I only have to do this once, and Venari can go, oh, ain't you lovely, and then that's it. So I don't have to worry about it anymore, so at least there's that. And that's it, that's what we have to look forward to in week 3. I think it's all rather exciting. I've managed to find a guild, and I'm fitting in rather nicely, and we're doing a few runs together, and they're all pretty mad. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to this first raid I'll be doing since Old Deer, and that was as a Wingwalker as well. Because yeah, Old Deer was as far as I got on BFA before I had to leave. But in general, Shadowlands is going really well for me. I hope it's going really well for you as well. I think monks in general are in a pretty good position. I'm a bit worried about the Mistweavers though. I didn't really enjoy playing that spec. Anyway, do like and comment and subscribe and moo, and make some suggestions. If you'd like to see anything in particular, then by all means let me know. I'm always knocking around somewhere on here. And I will see you in the next video. But until then, I am the Conspicuous Moo, and a very good night to you.